Good morning and welcome to a new season of the Volleyball England Super League. We are here in Loughborough to bring you all the action all weekend long as we open up the season. Okay. In here the saying is where history begins. This is a new history for Volleyball England, moving all our events to Loughborough University, and we'll bring you all the action. 2 leagues, 16 teams, 8 games, and we are ready to bring you everything here for opening weekend. I am Michael Hunter-Mars. I'll be joined by a team this afternoon as we get our courtside volunteers ready for the opening game of the season. I'm here for our first game of the day, joined by Dennis. Dennis, great to have you back on the broadcast team. How are you feeling about this new season?
Thank you for having me. I mean, what a long way we've come, right? 2 years ago, almost 3, opening weekend just started, and look at us now. It's a fantastic event, so many upgrades, and just look at the crowd here.
Indeed, the crowd's slowly starting to fill in Loughborough, and we're about to welcome our first 2 teams onto court, and our first team are our newly promoted team, Leeds Gorse, as they'll be headed out by their captain, Nelson Maranga. And Dennis, always exciting to see the newly promoted team open the season.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're facing a tough side today, but they've only been out for a year. Some say they, got an easy way in through Division 1 after being demoted 2 years ago, but they're back and they've got a lot of upgrades.
Indeed, obviously head coach Pete Mikowski for Leeds Gorse. We'll talk more about Leeds in a minute, but it's always interesting for a team opening up the season in terms of newly promoted. You come in with expectations of just trying to survive.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got the tools to survive and compete. Pete's constantly asking his team, demanding his team to raise their standards. They've got, a mix of experienced and youth players with their huge Leeds Gorse structure. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how, mentorship takes place in this season.
And of course, our opponents in this opening game, the Essex Rebels, the National Cup champions from last season, brought out by their captain Ewan Fraser. And Dennis is a team that competed in every competition last year and obviously managed to close out the cup victory.
Yeah, always a team to watch, I think. They've got a lot of returners along with a few key upgrades down the middle. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the balance of the season. They've got probably the most congested schedule, right?
Indeed. And obviously a head coaching change for Essex that I know we're going to get into later in the game, Dennis. But before we really focus on this game, let's have a look at the season as a whole in the DYNAMIK Men's Super League. Kind of your reflections on last season. Obviously such a competitive league and there were so many ups and downs, and obviously the cut of 10 teams to 8 made a big difference of how the season played out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's exactly what Volleyball England kind of planned, right? You want to cut down the teams, raise the standards, and raise the standards they did. I mean, you've got a newly promoted team in Leeds. They're definitely up for the task here, and last season there were a lot of mini battles down at the bottom of the table, but equally at the top of the table with the top 4 to top 5 really just up in the air for majority of the season.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about some of those storylines as we go through and break down the Super League and what happened. But obviously those teams in the back end, you talked about the arms race last season. And what have you seen from the outside about the growth of the Super League that it's made that battle for survival so important?
Yeah, I mean, not just the additions, you see returners starting to develop, teams starting to really focus on the youth. I think that's been a key part of these Super League teams. Traditionally, maybe 2-3 years ago, we often see teams just relying on their imports, right? But now we've really seen teams have a core, teams have an identity, and I think that's what's making Super League so much more exciting.
Indeed, and obviously this year even more drama going to be going. Top 4 battle, but 8th place team in Super League this year automatically relegated. 6th and 7th will have a 1-game winner stays up battle to allow the new Division 1 North and South winners to come into the Super League. So how much drama do you think that format of only one team not making top 4 being guaranteed safety is going to play out? Yeah,
I mean, it's high pressure. Relegation's always high pressure, especially with the new format of 2 Division 1 teams now. That's something new as well, but it adds to this kind of complexity. Sometimes the Division 1 North and Division 1 South, they might not know each other's play styles, and that creates another separate divide with, kind of the unpredictability of the whole relegation battle.
Indeed. But now let's talk about all the teams in the Super League. We're going to do a quick run through of the Super League and how it looks. And we'll start with the game that starts last today, and we'll talk about Richmond, Dennis, a team that battled last season, had ups and downs, but what have you seen in their recruitment over the summer that's going to give them some strength going into this year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of some new additions to watch out for. Artemi, the big Russian outside coming in from Cambridge, but equally some returners as well, right, Mikey?
Yeah, indeed. I think the returning core is interesting because you've got a new head coach, so kind of the transition for Richmond of having the culture, moving into Pete Sucheska being the head coach is kind of really important that they've got that core group. Abdi Jamalik on the outside is going to be a huge piece for them, but also they've got that continuity in the libero position with Ivo Dobra, and his versatility that we've seen that he can also hit is going to give him some added strength.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's talk about Durham here. Whole new team basically, right? Just a classic Durham move to a conveyor belt of talents really, and only 2 returners in Joe Kobalars and Hausgi returning from setter and opposite, I believe, but how's that going to mesh out?
I mean, this is the thing, this is why we're here at opening weekend, right? We don't know. Everything is on paper. What does what mean? Obviously, everyone's talking about the 2 additions to Durham of Sean and Matthew from UCLA, and what position they're going to play. You look at Durham's roster, they've got 4 or 5 players, 6'7", 6'8", they're naturally in middles. Yeah. So how do you move one to opposite? How does that shake up? There's some rumours of some injuries, we don't quite know yet. Haven't spoken to Ross Enfield this week, but that's going to be a really interesting balance, I think, for Durham, is how you bed in that new culture. Obviously, Ross moving into the head coaching position as well, so no longer a player coach for Durham. But as you said, Durham want to bounce back. They're the team that probably got most urgency approaching this weekend because last year just didn't pan out how they wanted, and they were in that relegation battle.
Yeah, 100%. And talk about, one of the big what-ifs was University of Nottingham last year, right? Near the end, key player Griffin Walters comes down with an injury, unfortunately, and now they've got another chance to bounce back with it. They're keeping their core. They've got their libero, Oliver Quick, coming back, always in the leaderboards and the dig leaders. Talk about some of their new additions as well.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting for Nottingham because you talk about new additions, but we have to talk about who's gone. You talk about Griffin missing last year. Yes, he missed last year, but he's gone this year as well. There's no Sam Peters. We know that he's an integral part of what they do. So actually it's replacing internally with the development of some of their British talent. But I think it's going to be really key, that addition of Awani on the outside. Also the opposite from Hawaii, who has come in with full reviews, spoken to Freddie in the preview about him, he's really excited. And then the Kane brothers, Connell and Jack, and I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic because we know what people from Menlo College can do. We've got Jaden Scott and Dylan Cohen, both former Mallory players, both with the Mallory Eagles this year, both come from Menlo College, and we've seen in their initial year in the season how well the Menlo style has transitioned to Super League. So for Freddie Fairbairn and Nottingham, I think that's a really smart piece of recruitment because you know that translates, and that's something you can bank on going into the season.
Yeah, 100%. Keeping their core and a few key additions. Let's move on to the London Giants, the previous, the reigning, defending Super League champions. What about them?
Yeah, I think it's super interesting catching up with Mihail Starve. I think it was his words were they're actually excited to be back to 0-0, but they almost, because of only two additions on the roster, so 2 same players on the roster, which I know you'll talk about in a minute. For them, it's a complete clean slate. There's no pressure from last year. There's no target on their back. And for a reigning champion to come in and say there's not a target on our back is a big thing to happen. It doesn't happen very often, but I think those 2 returning players are going to be so important with the culture.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, talk about culture, right? That's one of their key goals. They're trying to build a project. Last year, maybe you could say they brought in a lot of imports. Maybe it was a statement strategy, try and get their name out there, try and get that exposure. But now, they've got their returning libero, Jesus Rodriguez, the Mexican national team player. He's going to be key in their service effort and defense. And having a leader in defense is so crucial at this level. Yeah,
and obviously you have a return at Dorian Poink as well, who had a big Final Four for them. But I think it's really interesting their admission of how they've added to the roster. Yeah. They've not just gone with pure professionals. They've got a few professionals. They've got a few younger professionals, 21, 22. Porovenko on the, I can't remember if he's outside or opposite, but he's going to be one that I think he's playing the opposite. He's going to be big because they don't have a lot of depth there. But they're also going to be bringing in some players. And I was catching up with Neil Stove in the week. We're not going to announce right now some of what they're doing with starting 7, but I know the starting 7 is going to bring some surprise in what they've gone with. And it's a little bit younger, and I think that balance is going to be really interesting of how that team mesh.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how London Giants, they clearly have a strategy in place, but another London team, Mallory Eagles, another strong contender, coming in very close in the Final Four last year. They've got a core as always with Nathan Fullerton, the big powerhouse right side, along with some some people who have departed and been in and about the London scene, such as Ian Chow, a new addition.
Yeah, I think Mallory's a really interesting one because you always know what you're going to get from Mallory normally because you have such a strong returning core. We know you've got Dylan, Cohen, Logan Clark in the middle. You know what you're going to get. You've got Nathan Fullerton on the opposite. You know what you're going to get. They're going to keep John Martinez as a setter, but they've got other setting options. So you know what that core group's going to be. But Mallory, it's how do you get over the line now? The last couple of years, you've been the nearly team. You haven't been the team.
Yep.
They heartbreaking Final Four to London Giants, 15-13 in the fifth. 18-16 to this Essex team to our left in the Cup final last year. And I think that's really fascinating how that storyline plays out. How do you go to elevate that one final step and clinch a trophy that over the balance of the last couple of seasons they've deserved, maybe, but they haven't quite got there. So that for Mallory is how does that same group take that small step forward they need to turn it into silverware? Yeah,
kind of just going over that hurdle, right? So many teams have that, especially with a team like Mallory Eagle with so much tradition of success. Moving on, one of the newer teams in the Super League, Newcastle Knights. They've been a force to be reckoned with last season.
Yeah, you talk about it. Mallory Newcastle, our game that's coming up next at 1:30 after this one, the bronze medal game from last year. If you'd said that at the start of the year, Sam Shenton would have taken your hand, bitten it and run. And I think it's really good for Newcastle, but they've also kept a returning core. Kalichi Bell, Neil Ray, people like that. So they've got continuity coming into this season, and they are going to be super confident coming in, especially this weekend. We look at that individual match against Mallory. This is a matchup we saw 12 months ago. Newcastle took it in 5. And I think that's going to give them a lot of confidence if they can find a strong start again this season to make a second Final Four run, because it's easy doing it once.
Yeah.
But now can you prove it? I think some of their new additions are going to be really important just to upgrade, especially in that middle position. Yeah, I mean,
middle position, right? One of the key departures was Ryan Peace, American middle blocker. He was a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, how do you fill that hole? How do you kind of maintain your core? You got young players such as Ollie Tuck who are still developing, I'd say, but developing at a very high rate and already one of the best outsides in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how that balance of youth development and maintaining that core identity is going to play out.
And that's the story for a lot of these teams, and we're going to talk about these two teams as we build up to this game, but development internally. What as a coach are you doing on a day in, day out? What are you doing over the summer to give you success moving forward? Because it's all about, can you, some of these players elevate to the next level? The only way you do that is in the training on the day in, day out. And obviously they've got such a good system up in Newcastle with Bucks. Some of these players have got games as well. And I think that might help them today because they've already got 2 games under their belt.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, moving on to the 2 teams about to play, right? Essex Rebels.
Let's go have a look at Essex while we go. Why not? Get some of their warm-up. But of course, the defending National Cup champions. But for me, what I see with Essex is, you look at this roster and you go, I don't recognise many. There's not a lot left. Obviously, Jacob Perm warming up away to our left, Nissan Farrat, Ewan Fraser. Outside of that, pretty much that whole group is gone. New head coach on the sidelines. We're going to talk about that in depth in a few minutes. But this Essex group, it's okay. We don't know what this team is. We have no idea what to expect. So for us, I think this is super important that they set a precedent today, because there is so many questions, and Nathan Hall in the second position is going to be a big part of that. We know there's a lot of plans catching up with Alex Hinnery in the build-up to this Super League. He was going to be a pivotal part of how they want to play. We know they've been implementing a new style, but without the head coach here to do it.
Yeah.
So how that translates to an opening day, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, you could argue that their big 3 last year got broken up a bit with the departure of Davin Pascal and Cameron Kern, 2 of the best players in the whole Super League, right? But yeah, you're right. It's about trying to almost give a reassurance to themselves that they do belong here, which they obviously do, but are they of the same standard? We'll find out the opening day, but no, without their main head coach here today, who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
And again, I'm sure he's probably watching the broadcast as we head out. We will get ready, but we'll talk about Leeds as well as we walk around, Dennis. This is a really interesting group because you've got no pressure, but you've got Super League experience, which you don't often have with this group. Because some of these players, Nelson Moranga, others, were part of this Leeds Super League team 2 years ago.
Yeah, 100%.
So actually how this group balance out with some Super League experience but with some youth is going to be really a fascinating storyline to watch.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they're newly promoted, but they're definitely experienced, right? You've got a few England players, some Nevza youth talent as well, and Michael Lee, Max Mikowski, 2 of the best, Pete argues 2 of the best liberos in the whole league. And I'd honestly back that. They've definitely got a strong defensive system in place, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I think that young British core, we saw the success of Max McAllister, Josh Cosgrove, what they had at Nevs on the beach, and that strong background. We know they're developing as indoor players as well, but we know the culture of Leeds. It's developed within, developed through the youth. So how this kind of balance shuffles out is going to be super interesting for me. And I think they know they've got a big challenge today. They know, but Pete McAllister told me in the build-up a couple of weeks ago when we first talked, this is a game that we can win. They believe, they are not scared of anyone on the opponent, and I think, cool. And I think we're actually going to bring Pete in a second to have a quick chat. But I think that's the fascinating thing about Leeds is there's no pressure on them. But you believe you can win. That's a big success.
100%. It's all about mental toughness and how these experienced players can mentor their youth. And you've got a lot of experienced players. Nelson Marango, one of the ones to watch for sure. I mean, huge opposite, one of their core pieces in their whole system.
Indeed, and we're just going to get a quick word, I think, here with the Leeds Gorse head coach, Pete McAllister. Pete, welcome back to Super League, first of all.
Yeah, what a day. We're very happy to be here. Let's settle us with the nerves and let's go again.
And just talk about this team. What to fans new to Super League? Haven't seen this team a couple of years ago. What do you expect from that roster?
The excitement this year is how we're gonna make Nelson working around our top juniors. So this team will be very heavily dominated by our under-18s national champions with Nelson and Hayden today. So I'm quite excited to see what's gonna happen.
And just quickly before we let you go, what's the key for you today against the defending National Cup champions Essex? What do you need to do well to win this game?
Establish ourselves quickly with our serve and serve-receive and try to play our tempo. We know their weak points and we're going to try to expose them. I know they lost their top libero from Cyprus, so here we go. Let's see if we can get a game plan on.
Well, Pete, cheers for your time. Have a great season.
Thank you.
They're the head coach of Leeds Gorse, Pete McAllister. And we'll go have a quick listen in to the coin toss. And Nelson Maranga and Ewan Fraser just checking in with our officials. And we'll now get the thoughts as Alex Chinnery is going to sign the score sheet. We will double check with the referees as we've got 10 minutes to go in this game. It will be Essex to serve. Don't know if Ewan Fraser won the toss or not. But Alex Chinnery just checking in with the starting lineup and then we'll get his thoughts. Obviously stepping in for Daryl Tate. We'll just let Alex put his starting lineup in ahead of the team warm-up. I was chatting with him this morning, Dennis, and Alex, as we know, always super prepared.
Oh, 100%. I mean, one of the masterminds of the game, to be honest, and he's got a big task at hand trying to lead this team without, the main head coach at the moment, but already done a great job.
We'll bring him in.
Here we go. I'm here with Alex Chinnery, coach of Essex Rebels. So, Coach, one of the first things that came to mind was how do you go about setting the standard facing a newly promoted team?
I mean, we've got a lot of guys here with a lot of experience in the Super League.
Yep.
Guys that have played abroad. Bringing Rafa in, who's a career pro from Europe, is really, really good for setting those standards. The standards in our gym don't change considering who we play, whether we're playing in Bucks or playing here in the Super League. Like, we just love the competition, and the competition they bring in the game every day is great.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing, transitioning to a new season, new coach with new players. How do you go about making that transition as smooth as possible across the whole season and really integrating that new kind of identity?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the guys that have played in a lot of different places, have a lot of experience. Yeah, it's a really resilient group. It's a group that knows how to play this game. So they're willing to try new things, willing to get it wrong in practice, and hopefully when they go out there today, the work they've put in means they'll get it right.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. Good luck to the game.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Essex, let's break down the roster a little bit and what we expect to see. And obviously, we all know where it starts, Dennis, and it's this guy right in front of us, number 15, Jacob Kern. The way he closed out that cup final last year, 5 of the last 6 Essex points were his kills. Mallory knew where the ball was going. The question is, how do you stop him?
Yeah, I mean, talk about Plush Gene, right? But that's one of the main storylines I'm looking forward to today. Marangwa versus Jacob Kern on the left side, right side. that's going to be a big one-on-one matchup in terms of. I don't think there's many people. I don't think there's many people in the league that can, compete just from a physicality standpoint.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting, and obviously the other one is what they do, the combinations they've got. We know Jacob's going to move to the opposite position, and they're going to let you and Fraser set, but they've got the different dynamic with you and Hall. So what do you expect in terms of that with Jacob, the difference between moving from outside to opposite this season, at least to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's had a few games in the past playing opposite. It's, the main difference for opposite and outside, I think, is just the transition mentally, right? Outside, as much as you're hitting, you're equally in serve reception. And I mean, transitioning to opposite, I think we can expect to see Jacob Kern get a lot more, what we call garbage balls, where out of system, try and look for a solution.
And we saw that in the Men's World Championships. The middles for Essex going to be important. Sam Sherwin, just the way to right, stepped in during the final four, so he's going to have a big role in the offence. But now let's go have a little chat about Leeds as well, Dennis, before we head upstairs for this game. And we've already talked about Nelson Moran. The one that Pete brought up in that pre-game interview, the addition is Hayden Lawson. Super League experience from Stockport, going to wear number 8. How important is it for this Leeds group with such a junior core that they can bring Hayden in as that extra option as a hitter, but also his experience in passing?
Yeah, I mean, played in 5 Nations recently. He's definitely got a lot more senior experience now, and despite being slightly undersized, I think he's got a lot of tools in the air. He's definitely got the vertical to match it. So it will be interesting to see this new outside core with George Fraser, one of their key outsides last season, departing. How's that, gap going to fill in?
Well, that is the replacement is Hayden Lawson,
exactly.
And obviously that Super League experience for Hayden is going to be crucial. But what do you think the key is for this junior core right now? Because we talked about the development. Emmanuel Olator is going to start. Max Mikowski is going to be the starting libero. So how important is that they have a mesh point early, then that junior core they don't play with nerves?
Yeah, I mean, it's different playing with a full adult league for sure, but I think with the wide range of facilities and experience that these juniors have, they're definitely going to be used to this new standard, new level of volleyball. We see so often now it's about playing high hands, not just about bombing the ball every single play, and I think the youth have definitely embraced that nowadays.
Indeed, we are about 8 minutes from start here at the Sir David Wallace Sports Hall. We're going to take a quick break, head up to the commentary booth. We'll run some ads and we'll be back to really lock in and look at our ones to watch for this Volleyball England Dynamic Men's Super League season opener. Upstairs. And welcome back to Sir David Wallace Sports Hall. We've made our way upstairs for this game. Dennis, as we always do, we have a look at one player in particular to pick out. Obviously, we talked about a lot of players downstairs, but for Leeds, it's super simple, right?
Yeah.
You talk about the captain, you talk about one of the best opposites this league has ever seen, and that is Nelson Mouranga.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Nelson's got so much experience playing abroad professionally in Japan, Spain, Rwanda, you name it. He's probably been there. He's got so much professional experience, but it's just great to see that, you know, Pete doesn't just see him as a big weapon on the right side. He sees him as an opportunity to be a role model for this core young group.
Indeed, and obviously that matchup, the fact that Essex have moved Jacob Kern to opposite instead of outside is fascinating, because you would think you maybe want a block of Jacob potentially to match up. Instead, you've got two smaller outsides in Tom Shadamin, and Hassan Farhat is going to get the start. So what do you think Nelson's going through Nelson's mind? He's probably been preparing for Jacob this whole week. So what do you think his mindset's now going to be?
Yeah, I'm sure like Pete and the whole team has definitely worked on blocking, you know, whether it's line or cross, trying to funnel it to maybe the libero. Now that shift's happened, you know, all of a sudden Leeds have to block cross and try and funnel the ball down the line for Jacob Kern. So that would be definitely interesting to see. I'm not sure how much scouting per se Nelson's done on the on Farhat or Thomas Schatzman, but they're definitely capable blockers as well. You know, they might not be as tall physically, but Schatzman is definitely one of the highest jumping players in the whole league.
Yeah, and of course, with Leeds, we need to talk about Essex, and we've gone with Ewan Fraser, and obviously in the build-up to this, we probably thought he would slide into the natural opposite position, but Ewan sliding into the setter role. What do you think that's going to change for the dynamic of his Essex offense with the experience he's got in the setter position?
Yeah, he's always been, as Alex Chinnery has told me one day in Five Nations when he was playing on Scotland, he's just a baller. He's just a generally good volleyball player, and that's just his versatility on display right now. You know, shifting to setter now, it's definitely a different mindset. Now he can use his experience and leadership just trying to lead the whole team.
Perfectly timed water break for Ewan Fraser then, instead of warming up his serve.
I mean, he's just trying to scout out the opposition right now, I bet. But yeah, as I was saying, having such a physical setter, you know, we saw it in global stage. Moni Nikolov. So many tools are in your hand when you're a tall, athletic setter. You know, going on two, trying to save the balls that might be normally an overpass for anybody else but Ewan. It's definitely going to give the passing unit a lot more flexibility as well. And yeah, it's just going to be very curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I think the other thing for Ewan is some of his leadership vocally as well with this group. Yep. He's got some coaching experience. He's helping with the Bucks team with Darryl Tay's absence. So I think that combination is going to be really powerful, that Ewan knows this group. He's around it consistently. So he's got that input for setting. He understands the philosophy a little bit more because he's trying to implement some of that through helping as well. So I think that confidence is really going to allow his game to flourish because he knows in the changing system what they want to get to. And we've talked about, Alex Chinnery said to you that, right? Playing with freedom, playing with some expression, that's going to be super important.
Yep, 100%. I mean, he's the captain for a reason. He's one of the core groups through the past 3 years on the Rebels program, and will be interesting to see how they lead with this new coaching philosophy, new players on opening day.
Indeed, as we are just getting ready for the team introductions, I think Leeds have forgotten about the protocol that was definitely gone through in the pre-match meeting, mainly because I was in it. But Dennis, what's the one key area of this game that you kind of think about that's going to have the most impact on the result?
I think for Essex Rebels, it's going to be putting as much service pressure as possible. When you put enough service pressure on Leeds, you know, from an outsider, you're probably pretty sure the ball's going to Mouranga, and that gives the block enough time to set up properly, ensure no seams are left behind, and try and funnel the ball to your best defenders, right? So definitely service pressure is going to be key for Essex. On the Leeds side, it's going to be probably similar, but I think one of the key things that Alex Chinnery and Rebels pointed out was their change in play style. They're going to go a lot faster, a faster offense. Whether Leeds can keep up with that, that'll be a big thing to watch out for.
Well, this is fascinating. It's actually something I didn't get to talking with Jess Smith about on the Time Out podcast that came out this week. Both teams a lot of teams, when we had the pre-season coaching meetings, talked about that word, fast and tempo this year.
Yeah.
But they all can't play fast and quick. If they want to be fast and quick, you all can't do that. So how that style plays out, it's one thing saying you want to play fast and quick, but it's another thing actually playing fast and quick.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about execution. Playing fast and quick has its perks. Speed kills. If you play fast enough, you're going to have seams in the block all day long for you to just bounce the ball. But, as you said, it's about execution. Playing fast, not all the players here are used to that. You've got a lot of physical, tall players who are probably more used to the traditional high ball, out of system. Give me enough time and I'll find a way to kill it. But, yeah, it will be interesting to see if they change that up.
As we welcome our officials on to court, our referee 1 in the chair for this game, Katerina Sepnova, and referee number 2 in front of the scorings table, it is Ignacio Diaz. And our first team out for this opening game will be the team that are receiving, and that will be our newly promoted team, Leeds Gorse, and they're obviously headed out by the opposite, Nelson Muragwa. And he'll be joined by number 2, Emmanuel Otoya, a junior national champion. Dennis, a big piece to this Leeds success.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen him around with, whether it be regional, interregionals, cup finals, he's always there. And it's just honestly amazing to see that he's developed through the program, through Leeds for so long, and now he's on the Super League stage.
And he'll be joined by 6, George Wainwright, 8, Hayden Lawson, who we talked about downstairs, number 11, another junior, Finn Chalkley-Beals, number 16, the setting Juski, Zach Gasson Hudson. We know he's not been particularly well, but he is going to get the start. And number 13, Max Mikowski. That is your Leeds Gorse starting 7 for opening weekend here in Loughborough. And you see it on your screen as well as they get a huddle. And now we'll welcome our National Cup champions to the floor. They are still reigning in that. They also got a first round cup draw bye. I don't see any credit being given that way to anyone yet, but we'll see if that comes. And as Ewan Fraser leading the team out, an unexpected addition to that Leeds team. And he'll be joined by number 9, Sam Sherwin, number 11, Hassarant Farhat, number 15, Jacob Kern, number 17, Dennis Tom Shudderman. And we haven't really talked a lot about him in the pre-game, but his athleticism was always jumped off the cart, but he was really inconsistent last season. So how important is it that he sets the stall out early?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he develops. He's been in this program for 2-3 years, and he's always been improving. Sure, there's that consistency, but that inconsistency is because he often goes all in. It's either an ace or it's going to be in the net, but sometimes you can balance that. You can find an in-between zone where that's perfect, and it'll be interesting to see whether he's found that.
And they'll be joined by the other middle, Raphael Vian from Canada, and the new libero for the Essex Rebels is Ben Butler. And that's a big fill for Ben Butler to fill in. We haven't really talked about the departure of Lefty, obviously widely considered the best libero in the Dynamic Men's Super League last season. So that's a big role for Ben Butler to fill. But talking to Alex Chinnery in the build-up, he's more than happy that Ben Butler's ready to step up. And Ben is also going to be with them for 3 more years, having started his PhD last month in Colchester. So our crowd to our right, Dennis, in the bleachers opposite, filling in nicely.
Yep.
It is Essex and the captain, Ewan Fraser, to start. And we are ready. Dynamic Men's Super League 2025-2026 season underway. As Fraser gets the out call on the serve, but Mikowski plays it. Maranga early swing, splits the block. Perfect start for Leeds Gorse.
Yeah, early on, you can see Fraser was going for that, and they got Leeds out of system, but Morango able to find a hole in the block. First block of the day, so they'll definitely want to clean that up.
As back set, shut him in. finds the seam in position 6. Hayden Lawson to the left, can't get there. And we talked about Tom needing a strong start, and first swing gets it to go.
Yeah, gets it to go right away off a clean side-out play right there. Fraser seemed to have all three options, lots of time, and opts for Shutterman, who's now up to toss up his signature jump serve.
And obviously the rules that you can move on the release of the ball, super important, as Marango into the block of Sherwin and Farhat, and that's a big one for the Essex. The first swing from the natural right side is shut down.
Yeah, big block there. I mean, it wasn't a clean shutout block, but perfect shifts. Recognizing that it's slightly out of system, they know who their favorite target is. Sherwin and Farhat shuffling over quickly and just getting a clean block with no seam. Now Thomas Schatzman up to serve again.
Yeah, so obviously now defence can move. Leeds not really opting for that as Shutterman misses the baseline, but obviously on that ball toss, now you're able to move. You can really mix up defensive coverages, and it'll be interesting to see how this storyline plays out in the Super League. Do people try and hide their second outside? It's maybe a little bit of a weaker passer.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, especially in this case, we've got two major big opposites. They can move much earlier now, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in row one, but what a swing.
From the back row, that's a huge early one. Out of the back row, it all looks set like it was going for Jacob Kernan. That's maybe some of the variability and unpredictability of Essex offense showing through there. Ball set for Kern, but Shutterman from the back row.
Yeah, what a swing by Schatzman. Coming in behind the setter from pipe, that's nearly unstoppable.
As Leeds go middle, and that ball hits the sideline. Alex Chinnery confirms the call. Sam Sherning hoping that was going wide, but an early point for Leeds for George Wainwright down the middle. And we are tied at 3 points apiece. Opening weekend of the Super League. As the Leeds captain Maranga down the middle of the court. Top spin serve. Didn't necessarily see a quick flag from the official, but missing the baseline.
Yeah, just about, I guess. I mean, we haven't got video referees yet, but Marangwa with a tough topspin serve will want to have that back, but Kern matches that just out of the baseline as well.
And that's interesting. You talked about Tom Shutterman's Sterling stats before. He was 69.9% last year. Jacob Kern only at 70. Kern led the team with 69 serve errors last year, so he gets his season off on one as Butler down the line. Back set for Kern from the pipe into the block of Wainwright. And a nice positive swing for Essex, but again having to go from the back row.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds don't seem to be, quite outsped yet on the block. Sure, that one got tooled off the hands, but it didn't look like there was any seam there for Kern to go down on. Wainwright just a tad late, I think.
So Hassan Farhat on the service line, starting outside as Hayden Lawson gets the solo chance over Ewan Fraser, and Hayden Lawson needs no invitation.
That right there is a picture-perfect side out. What a set from Zach. Dishing it all the way to the antenna. One blocker up. Hayden Lawson finds the line perfectly.
Butler. Fraser tries to set a dump. Maranga backcourt beats Jacob Kern away to the left, and that if there's a weakness in Jacob Kern's game, it is the defensive element of it in the back row. And Maranga exploiting that on the cross court, and Leeds have the 6-5 lead. As Fraser pushes it out, Shutterman. There's a hand on it, but the ball cannot be legally played by Elaine Brown on the bench.
I mean, big swing. Good bounce back from Fraser, delivering a positive set with the flow. One-on-one block against Zach Gasson Hudson. Maybe a mismatch on the outside right now. We'll see.
As Rafa Vanes slightly mistimed in the middle, but well played by Finn Chalkley Bills in the middle. Keeps the rally alive as Maranga into the block, but that ball not missing the side by much. Essex will be taking some positives how this block's starting to form.
Yeah, they're starting to form. They're starting to get to the right places, especially against Marangwa. They immediately recognize out of system. We know who the ball is going to. Marangwa's right there. Smart swing off the block. Doesn't try and go sharp angle or anything.
Shudderman with the high hands on the serve, received the ball into the block. I think that may have come off the head of Hayden Lawson, but either way, out of bounds. We stay tight in set number 1. 7 plays 7.
Yeah, this is one of the rotations that we see a lot of opposites run across. But it looks like Leeds are opting for the traditional approach. Short serve. What a serve, and that's an ace for Ewan Fraser. So often, Ewan's got that top spin, sometimes even changes it up to a float. That time catches Leeds completely off guard. Hayden Lawson unable to get that short ball. And it looks like Leeds are shading to the left with Max Mikowski deep in area 6.
So, can Fraser repeat? Again, causing problems, but that's a good set. Marangwa wipes the hands of the block. And really smart piece of hitting, as we've seen. Sometimes placement over power.
Yeah, great joust there from Marangwa. He's smart, he's experienced. He knows that the ball is not perfect for him. He's unable to use his reach. Instead, he opts for the smart play, swiping it off the block. And Hayden Lawson now serve, topspin server.
As Butler overpass and killed off very, very easily. That's a perfect little ball for Emmanuel Oratoye. He's not really seen a lot of the ball early on, but that's an easy one on the overpass by Butler, and that's going to be so important for Ben Butler, is to forget about this mistake. He's got such a big role now that you've got to have this quick mindset. As Hayden Lawson with the big ball toss goes at Hassan. Perfect pass for Fraser, and Shudderman is rejected, but I think they're going to call a net touch on the block. So officials are in communication with each other, so we'll just wait a final call.
I think there's a bit of I think what they're confused about right now is whether Chatterman went under the net before the ball was dead, but then it adds with the net touch. It adds a bit more complicated, but looks like first referee Sepanova is giving it to Leeds. I think it's a fair result. I mean, Chatterman went under the net. It's hard to see what happens exactly at what time.
So Leeds with a 2-point lead. They're the first into double digits, 10-8. As Farrat into the net, Fraser's going to dig it up. Kern has to wait, goes for the little roll shot. Mikowski jump set, just legal, and that ball missing the baseline. They're going to claim and ask for a tip, but officials not seeing it. But Max Mikowski really aggressive, Dennis, there, going with the jump set.
Yeah, I mean, I love that from a libero. You know, it's so important to be able to play smooth out of system when you're libero setting, and Marangwa at that time opting for the inside cut shot down the line. We see that a lot with right-handed opposite, and that's a big shot to miss right now, but great pass by Max.
Shudderman goes with the roll, and Oratoye not even onto the net tape, halfway up the net for the youngster, and that gets the Rebels back tied at 10 points apiece.
Yeah, a tad bit rushed there, I think. Pass was a bit low. Gasson Hudson couldn't quite deliver the in-system ball. Slight miscommunication there.
Shudderman goes big this time, mixing up that hybrid serve. Again, misses the baseline. And the service errors for the Rebels really starting to creep up.
Yeah, they'll want to cut out these errors, because I think so often you can target the youngsters on the lead side with serves. Will be interesting to see whether they adjust it for a tactical serve rather than just straight power.
As gonna call a centerline violation on the Leeds block.
Yeah, centerline or net, one of the two.
Bottom of the net tape.
Yeah, yeah.
Great communication by our officials. Little check in. Marangas accepts the call, and that's what we like to see, the proactive communication with the officials as well.
Yeah, I mean, F5AV is giving out clear guidelines. They don't want officials to, you know, take the main stage. They just want the game, they just want the ball to fly, is what they say.
We appreciate all of you joining us in the live chat. Over 200 of you watching. Make sure you share the stream. Tell people you're watching, and Let us know your thoughts in the chat. We've got the chat up here as well, so we will. Any questions, any comments, we will get to them. And of course, predict who is going to win this game as Maranga misses on the serve, and we are tied at 12 in set number 1.
Yeah, back and forth. We've seen a few too many service errors at the moment. I think we've only got one ace so far for their aggression. Setter's front row now. Zach's got the option to dump if he needs it. Great pass by Lawson.
There's no dumping that one as Oratoye slightly off balance on the slight overset. Farrat plays for the hands and gets the hands of Wainwright.
Yeah, another net touch there. Leeds have had a few net touches at this point. They'll definitely want to keep that error out of their game. It's one of those where you just can't afford it. It's a mental error. Another serve by Jacob Kern.
And Kern again, meter or so over the baseline. As some of the Mallory players heading towards the locker room. And the pre-game meeting, they'll be next up against the Newcastle Knights. That one, first serve, approximately 130 depending on the speed of this game. As that one over the baseline, another service error.
I think you could tell just now Alex Trinnery giving some instructions on who to target for Farhat. We've got a front row outside and Hayden Lawson, and Oratoye targets him. It's a decent pass out though.
Big block touch, Kern able to play it. Fraser shut him in with the roll. Good, great big hand, and good. Zach's in the front row, legally plays it. Rafa Vine's going to have to set. Fraser, little angle shot, early call by Leeds. Great rotation. Lawson tries to wipe the block, but Fraser gets his hands and stuffs it down.
Yeah, big rally there. I think Shetman caught it to the nose there on that block, first block against Marangwa. That's going to sting a bit.
So Rebels with the 2-point lead, 15-13 as Oratoye again being targeted in service eve. Lawson can't play it, so effectively a free ball for the Rebels. Butler sets and shut him in again, wipes the hands of the block.
Yeah, what an adjustment from
And
Shetman.
Pete Mikowski going to call timeout. And Essex Rebels have the 16-13 lead.
Yeah, I think the main thing we can take away from this is the moment we saw Rebels have a bit more intention, a bit more target. They've found some success. They've targeted Oratoye just now 2 times. Both times I think got, you know, a 1-point, 2-point pass, forcing Leeds to play a bit out of system. And that time it's worked out. 2 points in a row they got from just that small strategic adjustment.
Indeed, and currently it's Tom Shuterman leading the way for the Rebels with 4 points. Matched by Nelson Maranga as we expected for Leeds. And super important right now that Leeds find a way to just stem this momentum run, Dennis. Obviously, Farrat's not one of the big servers that's going to put a lot of pressure on, but he's found just a way to target Oratoye, make this ball just awkward for him on the cross court. And we probably expect that going same direction as that Leeds make the adjustment. Oratoye almost stands out of bounds. Mikowski takes it, and that's a really smart coaching adjustment in the timeout by Pete Mikowski.
Yeah, 100%. Max Mikowski just giving him that little juke almost, shading basically half of the court there, covering Oratoye, and gets the side out. Perfect timeout execution from the team. Wainwright now. Great serve by Wainwright. Forces it. A free ball for Leeds. Marangwa gets it. Out of the back row. Oratoye couldn't quite find the court or the hands.
We'll see the sub. Oratoye gonna take a break. And in for the first time, wearing number 5, is that? I believe it is number 5. That is Zadu Bimak, the Ukrainian. And this is a really interesting story. Chatting with Pete Mikowski about this. We'll get this in after this point. as it is Rafa Vines to serve. Also Vian. As Maranga goes cross court, misses the sideline. The net is moving, and I think Leeds are wanting a net touch. The referee just telling him to calm down, but so there'd been a returner for Leeds, but missed the majority of last season with injury, as the captain being taught to net. And Pete said he's one that it almost feels like a new signing because he didn't really play last year.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's been around the system. He's familiar with the culture. It's definitely an advantage, even though he might not have been exactly with the team per se. But it's definitely going to be important for him to try and, whether Pete has in mind to have Oratoya just to, recalibrate. He's in this new competition, basically, in the Super League. He's still young. Try and regain his composure and get back into it.
The other thing Pete McCall's told me, he's probably the best server on the team as well, so late in the set, potentially finds some serving pressure because Leeds haven't forced it. Mikowski, that's a really bad bump set for Lawson, and he hits the antenna. And Leeds just falling apart a little bit late in the set. A lot of unforced errors right now for Leeds Gorse.
Yeah, I mean, it all started with the serve, this time coming from Vian. Newly acquired middle blocker, applying consistent pressure, because that's all you need right now. You recognize the situation, you just need a consistent pressure, and that time gets the ace off the chest. Now back, substitution for Leeds. Oratoya comes back on after hopefully regaining some composure.
One error of sub-reversal.
Yeah, that's a hard one to take if you're the substitute, but hopefully Oratoya can make up for it now. First chance, overpass kill by Shatterman.
I don't think that's going to count as a making up for it. That is an overpass put away, and Pete Mikowski going to use his second and timeout. And unexpectedly, because the serve reception for this Leeds Gorse team, losing 5 of the last 6 points, a lot of them have been unforced errors. Bad bump set as well by Mikowski. So Leeds, it's just about now, really, this set's probably gone at 21-14, Dennis. So now about just finding some momentum to go into set number 2.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to keep your same standards, right? Currently what's losing them this set is obviously the service pressure from Rebels, but equally can be said, you've had a few net touches which are completely unforced errors. They're mental errors. Right now you can't afford that, so try and cut those out probably is what Pete's trying to say. And so often he's talked about the mentality aspect. It's the mentality to be ready to compete. Sure, you're faced against a tough server maybe, a tough team to compete against, but you have to have that mindset that you belong in the Super League, that you can compete with the rest of these guys on the court.
And great to have some of you in the chat. Team Side Out assistant coach Sam Sorsky in the chat as well. We'll see Sam and Team Side Out tomorrow in a London derby against Lionhearts Venerius. As another not great serve reception by Mikowski. Maranga has to go with the roll. Shot him in, blocked over the net, recycle, and Ferrat's going to have to give up a free ball, goes with the push. Tight set. Great adjustment, Chalkley Beals. Shot him in, blocked. Kern. Mikowski with a big scramble to get there. Lawson on the cross court, finds in the back row, and Sherwin shuts him down, but the wrong side of the net. That ball went underside, not the best angle from the baseline, but Matt Mikowski, that's a big play to chase that ball down.
100%.
And take it as the libero. That's a great sign for the youngster.
Yeah, way to cover up. And the other youngster just now, I have to highlight Chalkley Beals there. Getting 2 blocks in a row in that messy rally. So often you see middles get lost in the midst of this whole, messy rally, scrappy rally. 2 times, went to the left side, covered the seam, and gets that block touch.
So, sub for Leeds. Josh Cosgrove going to go in as a serving substitution and setter. And the young outside going to set as well. Versatility. Mikowski to Cosgrove. We've said a lot of that on the beach in the summer. As Alex Chinnery wanting some sort of call. Farhat can't dig it out.
Yeah, I think what Chinnery wants, I'm not sure whether he wants the antenna call out of bounds, or the other argument I think he could be making is that Cosgrove was back row, so that ball played over, that should be illegal.
And that's what Ewan Fraser's now asking for. They're now trying to confirm where Cosgrove is on the court. You can see Alex Chinnery there. He's waiting for the call, and the referee, you can see, that's a great job by our camera team to pick that up. Really good job. And that one will be making the highlight reel.
Yeah,
but the point goes to Leeds, and it's Hayden Lawson on the service line. Butler, second over pass, Maranga, no doubt about it.
Yeah, great serve that time from Hayden Lawson. He's been one of the consistent servers on the team so far. That's probably something they want to carry with them to the next set, that service consistency. Another kind of mental error that happens a lot. This time Chatman gets it off the net, but finds the middle. Cosgrove, tough set.
Fraser pushes it to Kern. He's being quiet, but the hand on the block kills the ball before Mikowski can get there. And Jacob Kern quiet, and that's probably a great sign for Essex, right? Your best hitters had a quiet set and you're up 6 on the scoreboard. Yeah,
100%. I mean, the main source of winning right now is the serve. They've strategically selected who they want to target and have consistently gone there with intention. They're not serving free balls over to the targets. They're intentionally targeting.
Shadamin connects on a serve, but Essex side out. Oratoye on the cross court.
Free balls over to the targets. They're intentionally targeting.
Shadamin connects on a struggles in the midway through the set, makes that cross court kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so encouraging to see, you know, a youngster who hasn't maybe had the best set so far still try and go for it aggressively. You'd much rather make aggressive errors than those you're trying to give away for free.
Back set, Maranga gets the hand of Sam Sherwin. And Alex Chinnery again orchestrating something. I don't know if it was that something that Leeds did wrong or something he didn't like from his Rebel side. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
As the serve into the net brings up set point Rebels.
Yeah, set point for Rebels. They'll probably just want to clean it out for this set right here. And now Cosgrove still back row, has 3 options. Marengo's front row, but out of system pass, tough set to make. Now setters out for Rebels. High ball, Farhat.
And
Great
also
take.
Cosgrove having to go 4-1. Nearly got back to position 4, but set by Oratoye. And rejected to keep the set alive. Great job by Leeds. George Wainwright with his hands on that one. But Josh Cosgrove covering an awful lot of ground.
Yeah, great cover. Way to recognize that the middle is about to take it. Recognizes the body language early and just sets up that block, presses over. So often we see middles just not ready for that play, and the ball just dribbles down the net.
So 1 set point down, 4 more for the Rebels as Fraser keeps it alive, but Butler plays it. 3 ball, Leeds not communicating, and Lawson keeps it alive, but 3 ball, back set, Kern. And I think that took a deflection off Jacob Kern's shoulder, but that is going to be set to the Rebels. Tough for the referees to see that.
Yeah.
Not a great angle for the line judge down the line, and Essex Rebels take set number 1 of the Dynamic Men's Super League, 25-20. Dennis, how much regret would Leeds have about that? Because that set was won by their kind of misplay through that middle portion rather than how good the Essex Rebels were.
Yeah, as that middle portion, as you said, it's about that serve just now. You know, the moment Essex Rebels started picking their targets when they're putting in a float serve, that worked so well for them. And I think maybe what Leeds can focus on in the next set is, you know, realizing that, okay, they're targeting this player and making that adjustment much quicker rather than waiting for 3-4 points before the coach has to call a timeout, and then now you're scripting a design play right out of the timeout. It's about so much about volleyball is recognizing that there's a problem to be solved here. You don't have to wait more than 2 points to solve that. The Essex Rebels might serve at Oratoya again. Will be interesting to see how Leeds kind of plan against that right away from the start of the set this time, rather than having to figure things out halfway through. So I think it's about problem solving for Leeds, and we've talked about the mental lapses and the net touches, and in the end there the free ball execution, but that's definitely something to look out for.
And interesting for the Rebels, so the Rebels, no hitting errors in that opening set, 8 kills, and obviously the 5 serving errors, but a lot of them came early in the set. That serve kind of tightened up, as you can see the crowd filling in nicely here in David Wallace Sports Hall here at Loughborough University, our new home of indoor volleyball. And great to see so many of you in the chat. Luke Wiltshire, that volleyball guy, obviously head coach of Southampton, reigning coach of the year as well, having picked up that award last year. And George Fraser, former Leeds player out in Denmark. Great to have you with us, George, joining us on the broadcast. And we hope your season's going well out in Odense in the middle of Denmark. Lovely place. I say that from the one time I've been there. As the referees just checking they weren't using the match ball for warm-ups.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Rebels come out. They've clearly found a winning formula, or a new way to kind of capitalize on the inexperience of Leeds targeting, one of their youngest players, Oratoya, from the service line. Now that that's been established, do you start, almost being complacent? You definitely don't want to remain complacent here. You want to keep your high standards. That's what we talked about with Alex Chinners at the very start of the game. Setting standards regardless who you're up against. Trying to just execute that game plan consistently is going to be what's going to take them, the difference between taking them from a 3-2 win and a 3-0 win. Remaining consistent throughout, and like we just said just now, Rebels have had no hitting errors. And if they're going to keep that up, this game's going to end quick.
Yeah, tough to beat a team that doesn't make serving errors and hitting errors, especially with the pressure Essex are trying to put on from that service line. So we see Alice Brand has made the very quick trip home. I say home is Loughborough for Alice, so she probably got here walking, unlike most of us. And she'll be in action tomorrow for Dark Star. They'll be in the opening game against her former team, the Durham Palatinates. As starting sevens onto court, so for Leeds, Oratoya is going to continue in the outside position. Josh Cosgrove is going to stay as the setter, and he'll serve first, and he'll be paired with Maranga, Chalkley Beals, Lawson and Mikowski. So Josh Cosgrove with the opening serve, set number 2, and a little bit too much thumb down, the ball spinning off to the right, and another error from the service line for Leeds. That is error number 4 in the match, as Ewan Fraser will open up on serve. Same 7 for the Rebels, so Kern, Sherwin, Shudderman, Farah, Butler and Vian. As Lawson goes cross-court into the chest of Kern, and free ball for Gorse. Maranga beats Farah, trying to go more towards position 1 than 6, trying to hit that little seam. And free ball for Gorse as Farah slid away to his left.
Yeah, great setting from Josh Cosgrove there. First time delivering a perfect ball to the right side off his shoulder, and that time straight to Marangwa. High speed, what a set!
Ewan Fraser, hello! Not illegal either, not a scoop. And that is great pickup by the Scottish international.
That's exactly what we talked about pre-game. Ewan's probably one of the most physical setters in this league, and that time from back row jumping one-handed set, perfect for Chatman to bomb it down. Speaking of bombing it down, that time Chatman, another service ace.
His first of the game. But Tom should have been having a big outing. 7 points he's up to already in this match, leading all scorers as he hits the sideline. Mikowski thought it was wide, but a line judge right on it. Oratoye, good decision to lead, but 2 in a row.
Yeah, two perfect serves in a row. Thomas Chatman, when he's on it, he is on it. Third serve, another bomb. This time catches a body on the way.
Absolute serving clinic, and Pete Mikowski 4-1 down, going to use a very quick timeout.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a perfect service run by Thomas Chatman. 3 in a row, and didn't even have to change it up midway. Just bombs it 3 times and gets the aces. 5-1 now the score.
Indeed, scoreboard a little bit late update, and you can see that Leeds huddle being nice and tight. Pete Mikowski just talking about the adjustment he wants.
Yeah, I mean, will be interesting to see what kind of adjustment they script right away, right? Last time we saw, coming out of the timeout immediately, they hit the kind of show and take that we see so often in high-level volleyball now. Will be interesting to see whether that affects Thomas Chatman at all, but out of the timeout, he's coming in colder.
See if the good old coach's timeout trick does the business. Nope, it's another bomb serve. Hayden Lawson plays it, but Maranga has to give up the free ball. Can only go tight cross court. Shut him in from the back line. Hit it like a serve. However, he was about 10 foot closer to the net.
I mean, that's a shame there. I mean, the moment the free ball came over, I knew Ewan wanted to reward Thomas Chatman from the back row there, but unfortunate. At least he was responsible for his own service run end, but I'm sure he'll want that back.
Farah gets caught by the net tape, and one ace, one way ace, the other. That one for Leeds Gorse, a much needed point for Finn. Shortly Beals the middle.
Yeah, he's had a quiet game so far, but occasionally he shows glimpses of great athleticism, closing the block consistently, and this time from the service line. But that was the commentator's curse right there again. Out of the baseline, but 1 ace, 1 error. You'll take that as a coach, but at the moment, Leeds still trail by 3.
So it'll be Sam Sherwin, the middle on the serve line, goes with the high float. Oratoye, 1-on-1 with Kern, beats him, but great dig by Ewan Fraser. Back set, Maranga plays the hands of Farrett. Lovely little swing by Maranga, but great to see Oratoye with the confidence to go hard and aggressive at Jacob Kern. It's great to see the former Rebels head coach, Alex Porter, in attendance. His first game not on the sideline. I'd love to know what's going through his mind right now watching his former team play.
Yeah, I wonder if he's noticing any differences in style so far. So, to be honest, so far we haven't noticed too many changes in tempo, but inside ball this time, Mikowski has to deal with it.
Fraser wide of the antenna. Kern not chasing it. In fact, it may have even clipped the antenna. But again, the set for the Rebels not quite there for Jacob Kern to attack. He's definitely felt like he hasn't got the quality of ball early on. I think in his mind that he's used to. Obviously that position switch still with 4 points though is Kern, as Maranga off the right-hand shoulder of Farah, and that is an ace.
Big serve that time. Similar to the second ace from Thomas Chatman. When that ball's coming so fast at your chest, it's so hard to open up your body and try and get your platform out. That time catches him, and immediately we see a shift from the Essex Rebels defense, stepping back basically on the baseline. And we're unable to keep that service run going. But the gap slowly closing down to 7-6.
As the Newcastle Knights now in attendance. I think they got a little bit of a travel delay on the way up, but still plenty of time before they get underway. As Lawson with great serve reception. Back set for Cosgrove. Probably not the right decision, but Leeds able to get the second ball. And Oratoye off the hands of Rafa Vian. And that ball into the baseline. Net touch as well. And we're tied at 7 apiece.
Yeah, great delivery by Josh Cosgrove just now. Delivering that speed to the outside. You can tell Vian just couldn't quite get to the outside fast enough. And that time going high off the hands.
As Oratoye, very close and very casual, Jacob Kern. Watch. I can leave it.
Yeah. Moving that foot
I'm an
just out
opposite
the
now.
way.
I don't want to serve receive.
That's true.
What's one of them?
Ooh, great dump. But might have been a premature whistle there.
Well,
Premature
neither team
whistle,
are happy,
yep.
so if in doubt, play a lap.
Yep. I mean, that ball couldn't quite find the floor, and Essex Rebels basically scrambling with their feet to get that ball over. Referee just jumped the gun there.
Someone needs to calm down, and Oratoye out the way of Mikowski. Lawson goes line, shut him in, one-handed pick up. 3-ball Gorse. Mistimed through the middle, and they were wanting the tip. Pete Mikowski wanting it, but nothing claimed immediately by Wainwright, and Rebels back with the 2-point lead.
Yeah, I think he knew that, but pretty good free ball execution out of that pass from Max Mikowski, trying to run that kind of shoot, almost a pop route. This time, another great ball delivered, but that time, Viens reads it perfectly and gets the one-on-one block down the middle. Trying to run that kind of shoot, almost a pop route.
The Rebels know
this time, another great ball delivered, but that time,
you see so often by setters, if the last set wasn't great, they try and go straight back to that same player, and Vian read that like a book. As Farrett goes over the line and lets the Gorse serve reception unit off the hook. As George Wainwright heading back to the service line.
great pass in.
Kern into the block. Hayden Lawson with the monster shut down. And celebrates like the world wants to see it twice.
Great pass in.
JK from Kern the into the block. Into the double team. As Butler, quick ball out to shut him in. And I don't even know what to say happened there. That was just a placement shot, and the Leeds Gorse back row just all watched each other.
Yeah, I think they were a bit mesmerized by Shatterman running in so fast and then just stops his hand right on the ball.
Ball into the net, Shatterman able to save it over the advertising boards, but free ball for Leeds as Cosgrove with the fakes go over on two, sets it instead, and Finn Chalkleyville says thank you very much. Board, but free ball
Yeah, what a play there by Cosgrove. Recognizing that he's front row and just utilizing that presence to perfection.
But the angle of his body too that sells, he was going to try and put that over on the setter dump. He is now back row on the service line. Fraser tries to return the setter dump, but it's a free ball for Essex. Sherwin. Oratoye with the big save. Another free ball, Rebels, but great hustle by the youngster. Another middle attack, and that time Sherwin makes no mistake.
Yeah, great chase down by Oratoye. That's the type of hustle we want to see, especially when you're trailing down by just two. You want to go for every ball.
The advertising boarding's taking a bit of a beating, but we don't mind that here in the DYNAMIK Men's Super League. As Mikowski off a knee. Chalkley Beals recycle ball. Lawson plays for the touch, gets it from Shudderman. And Leeds Gorse are fighting back in this set. They looked in trouble 5-1 down, but great composure. And they are just at 1 point away from tying us up as we're midway through set number 2. The Rebels taking set 1 25-20. Shudderman goes over the block. Mikowski can't dig it out.
What's a swing by Schatzman from the right side down the line, hammers that ball.
Shudderman.
Wow, what a swing.
But you don't expect it as a lib either. The block set up for the line. Really tough.
Yeah, about a ball's gap worth, down the line. You could argue it's a perfect funnel, but that's a
perfect net court.
That's a perfect net serve. Maybe not the perfect serve, but an ace, you might as well call it perfect.
Who knows? He may have played for the net.
Yeah.
Who are we to argue with Tom Shudderman? He's having a ridiculous serving run. And that one flies over the baseline, but 4 aces, I believe, in the set for Tom. And it'll be Finn Chalkley Beals on the service line in the middle spot. He tries to go line. Farrett plays it overhand. Fraser well off the 3-meter line, but that's a perfect set for JK.
Yeah, perfect set. Perfect, that arc, utilizing JK's, humongous physicality difference, and he finds that chiseled line shot right there off the hands.
Float serve by Sherwin. He goes across to position 5. Going to have to set from the 3-meter line. JK, little touch and a fight at the net. Huge win by George Wainwright, out-dueling Rafa Vian. And a card is being produced. And Pete Mikowski with the high five, and he ruins my and Jess Smith's prediction of the first yellow card. It's Pete Mikowski winning the coach's race.
Just a small delay as they record that in the score sheet.
I don't know. I think Alex Chinnery might be a little bit disappointed he didn't have a chance to pick one up. We know Chinners loves the card, and that would have made Jess Smith's prediction correct, as a huge serve by Maranga. Ball going into the statisticians behind the back row in the scouts. Pete Mikowski's now got a bit of a smile on his face.
Yeah, this is how you build momentum with your leader, right? That serve had so much funk on it. Even though it's a topspin serve, it looked like it was going from right to left. But that time, I think it just sliced.
Some of the Mallory players heading to the activation areas. JK finds the hands of the block.
Yeah, another line shot. Will be interesting to see whether Pete wants an adjustment on that. It's a few times where it's hit the outside hand of Oratoya or Hayden Lawson from Jacob Kern. Now Jacob Kern to serve again. Back-to-back tough servers. Well dealt with by Max Mikowski.
Oratoye in the perfect seam as well, in between 6, 5 and 4. All 3 of them, I think, were going to try and play that ball.
Yeah, when you're in system, it looks like Leeds definitely know how to execute, but great pass by Max Mikowski. Deals with a tough server in Jacob Kern and gets them the side out that they need. Great read by Marangwa. Now Wainwright joust. Dug over. Cosgrove goes on 2. Scrambling right now,
over.
Rebels.
Oh, Max Mikowski. Oh dear, that went horribly wrong. That was maybe seeing on the Volleyball Super League Timeout podcast next week. I'm not going to spoil some of the segments we've got in mind, but Max Mikowski, welcome to the podcast.
I mean, it's the right decision there. You want to make that play, but at that time couldn't quite execute it, but it happens to the best of us.
That might be making the podcast highlights as well as a absolute monster block. Dennis, break this down.
I mean, 1-on-1 out of the back row. You can tell Rebels are trying to shade over, and I think Shatterman just kind of knew where Moran was, go-to option was, deep into area 6, and he reads that perfectly.
Oh!
And 2 for 2.
1 brings 2. Are we in London? Have we got the buses? Pete Mikowski needs a timeout. No shock. Back-to-back stuffs by the Rebs.
Yeah, that time I think it came off Vian. Great block coverage there. This time, the first time you could say they got baited to the outside. This time they closed the outside perfectly. That's 2 mega blocks to set up this timeout for Essex Rebels. And they're about to enter the 20-point margin, which is going to be so crucial to close out this set.
So, regroup for Leeds Gorse. As Mikowski takes a lot of court, takes the ball, Wainwright, touch off the block by Vian. Kern from the back, Mikowski puts it skywards. Oratoye is going to try and set, decent set from behind the court. As Farah is shut down by Ewan Fraser. Block party, the Essex bench are losing their minds.
Yeah, that's a tough one to take. I don't even think Ewan Fraser expected to block that one. He kind of just jumped and hoped.
Let's look again. Great chase by Oratoye. Good set. Decent set from behind the court. As Farah is shut. Fraser just with the instinct. I think he went to try and keep the ball alive as the setter.
Yeah.
Next thing he knew, he was blocking, and now the overpass is put down. And as again, the Essex Rebels are making a run when it matters the most. And their lead is 6, 21-15. And closing in on 2-0 up.
Yeah, again, it's that mid to late stage that Essex Rebels seem to just have managed the game better. That time a better pass, but again, another error. These are really starting to pile up for Leeds here.
As Moranga tries to send that one to Leicester. Cosgrove will take a break. Gaston Hudson back in. I wonder if they just want to get him a couple of reps before the start of set 3. Because that's what we saw at the end of set number 1 with the Cosgrove sub. Just trying to get him settled before the next set.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who starts next. But Cosgrove's had a good game so far, with that front court presence of his. Now, fastball to the outside. Well dug up by Karen. And again, covered up by Farhat out to the outside. And Shatterman finds the seam through the block. Rebels really just switched on defense and these scrambling plays right now. And it's paying dividends. Again, covered up by Farhat out to the outside. Decisive set to the outside. Another great pass by Mikowski. Finds the middle for Leeds. Wainwright that time getting the kill cross body. But you can just kind of sense the air in Leeds. There's not as much fight. There's not as much, competition on their side. They're struggling to find something to celebrate right now. Schatzman from the outside goes sharp angle and catches the hands of Hayden Lawson. It just feels almost like a formality at this point for Rebels. Rebels aren't really hyping themselves up, either just executing at a high level consistently. And this time Vien, one of the most consistent servers.
So 8 set points, make that 7 as Leeds find the middle connection. And it'll be Gaston Hudson with the ability to pull off a service run and try and keep his side from going 2-0 down in his opening DYNAMIK Men's Super League game. But you don't do it by pushing the serve long and wide. And the Rebels take it 25-17 over Leeds Gorse. And the defending National Cup champions, Dennis, well on their way to an opening day victory.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about setting standard, and so far, Alex Chenery have definitely set that standard against the newly promoted team. They've never shown any signs of underestimating the competition. They are well aware Leeds can be a threat on their day. You know, naming Murangwa as one of probably the best Super League players on his day, and so far they found a way to neutralize him and also maximize points in the other departments as well.
Indeed, and we'll just let the stats briefly update and we'll bring them to you. Massive shout out to Josh Holdsworth on the Essex bench, giving us access to the live stats. We'll wait for it to pull through, but the one thing we do know is Ben Butler, after that early error, has really held up on serve receive for the Rebels. We talked about that with missing lefty Oyenu. But Tom Shuterman's having himself a monster game.
Yeah, at the moment it seems like everything's going for him, especially in the service line. I mean, it almost feels like an indicator when he's serving well, he's going to hit well. It's almost interchangeable.
As our MC Stan is having a quick chat with Alex Paul. I'm going to listen in as well just to bring you the gossip. But Stan's first question, exactly what we were thinking. What's it like sitting in the bleachers, not on the sideline? As Alex Porter saying that his former team looking nice and solid. You can see him on camera with Stan and Cad's doing a great job on the 1s, 2s and the mic this weekend as well, keeping us entertained. But Dennis, we'll focus on Leeds a little bit in this break as well. What's going to be the key for Leeds Gorse and Pete Mikowski if they want to find a way to get back into this match and win set number 3?
No, I think one of the key differences is, you know, side out percentages, right? It might seem very obvious, but it's how Leeds are going to try and break that side out percentage. I don't think I recall too many tough serves or runs of service, whether that's a problem of intent or targeting. You know, that might be something they want to implement, and obviously we've faced a few tough serves from Schatzman and Kern on Leeds' side. They struggle to side out those, and so it's about trying to find a way to solve that kind of run, to try and cut that service run ASAP and try and extend your own, because that's the main difference. Rebels have been able to operate their offense a bit too comfortably for Leeds to try and gain anything out of this game. So trying to force that hand from Rebels will be absolutely key for Leeds.
So teams making their way onto court. The stats have indeed updated, as Tom Shuterman has 10 kills on 18 swings, as a couple of the Newcastle players relaxing ahead of their opening game. On the phones, having made the trip down from the northeast. Mallory also in their kit, ready to go. University of Nottingham to our right, checking in as well. Big thank you to some of the VE team. Just dropping off the team list for the next game, having spotted Mallory making the first error of the season in the paperwork. You cannot play volleyball with 2 number 16s. But we'll worry about that later, as Mallory have got that sorted. And Ewan Fraser will get us underway in set 3 with a serve that clips the back line.
That's a tough way to start the final set here, or at least the third set. I think it's going deep, and it's so obvious that Essex Rebels are having clear intentions on their targets. They're serving deep on their targeted player all the time. Again, at Aratoya, passes it a bit tight, well dealt with. Now we get recycled.
Ooh, tight set. That probably would have been called a double back in the day last year, but not now, and Leeds convert on the point. Obviously, double touch, any internal pass, as long as it's not a catch and throw, is now legal.
Yep.
I know a few people now believe they could be a good setter.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see right away. Leeds Gorse changing it up now. They've got Michael Lee stepping in as defensive libero, I think.
Indeed. As that spots the corner way inside the side and baseline. Hayden Lawson, great spot, Dennis, on the lib change. Michael in, Pete McCalskey scared in the build-up to opening weekend. He believed he had the 2 best liberos in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different style. I think, well, Michael used to be a setter as well, so we saw Max trying to deliver that out-of-system set just now. Will be interesting to see if Michael can make that impact right away as well.
Free ball for Essex. Sherwin finds the defense of Hayden Lawson, and Michael Lee, and Maranga splits the block of Gern and Sherwin, and a big point for Gorse. They are 3-1 up in set number 2, and just having a quick look, 15 points already for Tom Schullerman, 11 for Nelson Maranga. The next highest score in the game, 6 points, Jacob Kern, and that's been a quiet 6 for the Rebels out. Oh, sorry, opposite, a Schullerman from the right side. No good, and Maranga finds the block touch of Sherwin, and Kern again.
Yeah, this is what Leeds need right now. They need to maintain their service pressure. They're not getting, you know, bombs or aces, but they're serving with intent. They're giving themselves a bit more of a chance for Ewan to try and deliver a harder ball to their pins. The Hayden Lawson with 3 serves in a row. This time a perfect pass and a perfect kill for Essex Rebels.
As Sam Sherwin held in the air, felt like he'd ought to pause gravity for a second to just let that ball come ever so close and put it in the gap.
Yeah, he let that ball just go over to his left shoulder before hammering down. That's just a show of athleticism right there.
So, Tom halfway up the net. It's a good job Jacob Turk was protecting the back of his head, because that was nearly a bullseye own shot on your teammate, which would definitely not have got any brownie points. Reminder, this is game 1 of 8 on the weekend. As Butler plays the serve receive, Farrett rolls it over the block. Matanga from the left side, no good for Hassan on the dig.
Yeah, that is just a dart. Hassan shaking it off there on his wrist. That was a sharp angle shot for the century. Now Chalkley Beals again, few more serves in a row. Leeds have got themselves a bit of a lead here.
Low flat serve, Farrett gets the hands of Oratoye. Leeds fully out of system, so the ball's only going one place, but that one place is Nelson. A gigantuan swing, splitting the block, and Alex Chinnery, first time out he uses off the match on the men's side. Leeds Gorse, leads 7-2, set number 3 here at Volleyball England, the opening weekend in the Dynamic Men's Super League.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge for Leeds right now. 5-point lead. Don't think they've had a lead in the whole game, but right now they've got it. This is a great chance for them to build momentum. That time Maranga was swinging in between the arms. Now Leeds with that 5-point gap. Finn Chalkley Beals, a couple serves, strong serves in a row as well. Flat float serve this time, changing it up compared to what Hayden Lawson was putting Rebels under. But let's see if Alex Chinnery has iced the serve, and maybe he'll get a coach's point here. But
as much as that, I don't think it's about icing the server. I think it's just about trying to sort out the block, because right now, wherever Nelson Maranga wants to put the ball, he can. Indeed, the coach's point does work, but right now it's more about sorting out this block defense. Jacob Kearns just being hit over wide of anything he wants, and he's really struggling to contain the big hitting.
Tough serve here. Marangwa against 2, finds cross court, but Rebels pick it up here. Short ball again. Tries to go back row.
I don't know if that was middle or pipe, but
Yeah.
it was kind of neither as Kern touches it on the roll into the block. Great applause and celebration from the Rebels bench. And a couple of much needed points.
Yeah, like you said, so much about dealing with Leeds is going to be how you set up the block against Marangwa. Now out of the timeout, will be interesting to see how, how they manage to close gaps. And right away, we get a chance here. Bit of an offset though, so Rebels get the free ball here.
Lovely speed by Fraser, just high and flat. Allowed Vian to attack it. Beats the block.
Yeah, and before you know it, Rebels seem to be back into this game. Only down by 2. Got Vian now to serve. Excuse me, got Sherwin now to serve. Max deals with it well.
And a miss set by Gaston Hudson. I wonder if they're thinking timeout, sub with Cosgrove. They're definitely talking on the Leeds bench. Pete Mikowski chatting to the ever-present and experienced Elaine Brown. And from 7-2 down, 4 in a row for the Rebels out of the timeout. As Oratoye trying to break the run, but put over on the recycle. Kern has to wait for it. And Oratoye gets the fingers on it. And it is 5 in a row. And 7-2, 7-7, timeout Leeds.
Yeah, 5-0 run is a tough pill to take, but that was just a perfect timeout by Alex Chinnery. He recognized that they weren't necessarily having any glaring errors, but he notices the schematic things, the strategic things that are missing out. Right away, Rebels make that adjustment. And that's exactly what makes them top contenders. They're able to problem solve at a much faster rate than most teams.
Reminder, game 1 of 4 today. Next up, the bronze medal rematch from last year. Mallory will take on Newcastle at 3:30 first serve estimated. We don't know how long these games will go. London Giants will take on Nottingham. And then our 5:30 game, Durham Platinets, Richmond Docklands. And then the Mari Women's Super League will resume tomorrow. Essex Leeds, Mallory Newcastle, Lionheart side out, and Durham Darkstar. As Sam Sherwin on the service run. Perfect pass, perfect set, perfect swing. Maranga on the 3-meter line.
That's an insane swing. I was about to say that was a tough set for him to deal with, but
perfect set.
With that physicality, goes sharp angle and bounces it through the floor. Now Marangwa back to serve. Goes too deep, maybe a bit too much hype from that earlier point. Couldn't keep his composure.
Well, he's just used to just trying to hit the ball as hard as he can, and now he can't anymore.
I mean, that's just how it is, right? You either get an ace or an error with him.
Jacob Kern, Hayden Lawson, great pass. Middle play run again. Leeds really struggling. That off the antenna. And the Leeds player swinging after the point. Is that George Wainwright in the middle? Essex bench trying to get him carded.
I mean, it's just one of those unwritten rules, but you can also take some banter out of it.
Oh, that one clipped the net cord by Kern. I don't know if Oratoye was going to get to it anyway.
Yeah, that was right behind, right between George Wainwright and Oratoye. It's kind of that no man's land where if Wainwright takes it, it's probably going to be a shank into the middle of the court, but Oratoye is stuck right behind him, so you can't quite pick up that ball. Great spot from Kern. This time opts for power. Pass was a tiny bit tight for Gaston Hudson to deal with it, but they're taking a longer huddle here to try and clean everything up. Marangwa trying to command his team. Kern a few serves in a row, and that puts Josh Cosgrove back onto court to set.
Probably the right call. We heard in the pre-game Zach may have been a bit, fairly unwell yesterday, so that kind of matches up. He's not had his best performance, so go back to the youngster who did an okay job in set 2, but you need this momentum shift. 9 of the last 10 points have gone to the team from Colchester. Make that 9 of 11 as Jacob Kern lets them off the hook. Meter over the baseline or so.
Yep. Cosgrove is front row, so they have the chance for that front row presence to be used, whether that's a fake spike to a set, or he can go on 2 if he wants to, and that time out of system. Farhat has to swing through double, and he does.
Oratoye can't handle the swing, and the Essex Rebels halfway to that required 25 points, and if they get there first they'll close out this game in a 3-0 sweep over the newly promoted Leeds Gorse side, as Farah picking out Oratoye. Tight set, but Lawson tries to wait for it in the air, but the ball ever so slight behind him, had to roll, but only rolls it short of the net. And Pete Mikowski again using that timeout, his last of this set, as a 5-point lead turns into a 4-point gap, and it's now or never for Leeds Gorse if they want to find a way to stay in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this has been consistently the turning point between Leeds and Rebels, and right now you can see Leeds are trying to get their team amped up for this. Their backs are against the walls. There's no point trying to give any freebies out. Now they have to go for it. Murangwa really trying to get that message into his team.
So, substitution for Leeds coming out of the timeout. Oratoye is going to check out Pal Asaiwa into the game. And he's immediately targeted on the serve receive. Cosgrove, jump set. Lawson, good hands by Fraser and Vian at the net. But it'll be a free ball. Early call, Mikowski. And they're going to say that was over the net. It looked tight, you could tell by Shutterman's reaction. And a little friendly exchange at the net between Tom and Hayden. Those two know each other well. As Lawson misses the line, and again Leeds just falling apart. The errors rattling through for the side.
Yeah, it starts with a tough serve from Hassan Farhat there. Flat float serve. He's really been challenging the Leeds defense, and you can tell they're now shifting a bit shorter. We'll see if that pays off.
Back set, Moranga finds Farah in position 6 with the dig. Set for Shutterman inside the 3 meter on the cross court angle. Tom Shutterman, I don't think there's going to be many questions about a game MVP, and that is why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen a sharp angle shot as sharp as that before. Against a triple block, no less. He finds that tee in the 3 meter line, and Leeds just scrambling for a play right now. High ball, Lawson finds the line this time. Just hits the baseline, I think.
And the middle was so confused. Rafa at the net was like, what happened? And he suddenly got told the ball was in by about 1.5 meters on the swing. As Hassan Farah with the set. And there's one way, if you don't get the block, get the ball, put it down yourself. Vuan with the kill.
Yeah, Farhad's been playing very well defensively, I must say. Coming out of position 6 2 times in a row, I think, standing behind the block, getting those key touches to give his team a chance out of system. That time with a perfect serve reception as well. He's been sleekly having a game.
As recycled off the Sam Sherwin touch. Back row, pipe attack. No good for Osawaya.
Another tough serve. Well dealt with, though.
As Lawson into the block. Well picked up by Mikowski, but over on one and wide off the sideline. And it's a 9-point lead. And this game is all but done and dusted. Dennis, the Essex Rebels 7-2 down in this set have stepped on the gas with authority. And they're now making a statement to the rest of the DYNAMIK Men's Super League.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how good of a team they are. They know exactly what's wrong. They've got a great coach to lead them. They've got a great way to implement their system whenever a timeout happens. You know, any team could have easily just kind of shut off once 7-2 hit, but Rebels just find a way.
You can see Oratore talking with the Leeds Gorse coaching staff as the London Giants arrive in the sports hall here in Loughborough. We'll see them at 3:30. Head coach Mihail Stoev getting set to lead the reigning champions back into action as the cup champions going to close this out in style.
Great ball in by Shetman. And that time Leeds touching the net. Yeah. Double block, a bit over the eager there. Now Leeds still down by 10.
Be Ewan Fraser, who's had a really strong day in the setting position. Goes with more of the hybrid topspin. Moranga into the block of Sherwin and Kern, but they can't put it over the net. As Leeds can't convert, and Tom back to the service line. And no doubt he's going to go perfect pass by Michael Lee, and a great middle run out of the offense.
Yeah, what a pass by Michael Lee there. Coming in, straight away making an impact, absorbing the power of Schatzman's serve perfectly. So pass was a tiny bit tight for Cosgrove, but he utilizes his length for that and tries to get that middle set with the one hand.
For Leeds, number 15, Simon Lawrence getting his first action of the game. So Leeds really going deep into the bench. It's a low serve, well handled by Ben Butler. Farah, I think that ball touched the block and that just threw off the back row defence of Finn Chalkley-Beals. And Essex Rebels move 3 points away, and for the first time today, head coach Alex Chinnery goes to the bench. It's number 11, Hassan Farah. And number 9, Sam Sherwin checking out into the game for Essex. Number 5, Oscar Curzon-Hall. And number 1, Nathan Hall. So 2 Halls on the court. It is Nathan the setter to serve. So that'll slide Fraser to opposite. Jacob Kern will join Tom Schudderman. I think there's no libero on court, which obviously confuses things slightly. but Hall there to set on the 3 metre line. Jacob Kern finds a sprawling Lawson. And the little cut roll attempt by Ozza White misses the sideline.
Yeah, great set there by Nathan Hall, out of system, recognizes immediately. You know, we see often you get confused when you just come in and for a service sub and you don't recognize that you're going to be the main setter out of system. And that time, well delivered by Nathan Hall. Another great serve down the line, well dealt with though. Big
this
swing.
Time couldn't connect the first time, does the second, and Leeds are going to just use Nathan Hall as a serving sub effectively, as Oscar Curzon Hall checking out without touching the volleyball.
Yeah, I think maybe it was a blocking substitution, I'm going to guess. Marango was front row, so they wanted to have Oscar Curzon Hall lined up against him, I think. Big serve, well dealt with by Butler. Dug up, Michael Lee trying to set that pipe, but unable to reach it all the way. It was a tough place for him to take, fading away from the court basically, and that brings up match point.
So Essex Rebels 10 match points in the opening game of the season. Jacob Kern on the service line. We know he's going to go power. Hayden Lawson sprawls in front of Michael Lee. Touched by Fraser. He's going to move Rafa out the way. And Hassan Farah over the triple block. Ends it in style.
Yeah,
and
what a way.
Essex Rebels take victory 3-0 over Leeds Gorse. And a commanding performance by the Cup champions. And that will put the league on notice.
Yeah, commanding is the perfect way to put that performance just now. Sure, they were up against newly promoted side, but they never looked complacent at all. They treated every little drop in performance seriously. You know, they were just never complacent, really. You know, that timeout in this third set perfectly summarized what Rebels are so much better at, and that's just dealing with the problem at hand. They immediately adjust. They don't overweight. They just immediately recognize a problem, identify it, find a solution, and that's just how they won the game.
Next up for the Rebels, they are heading back to Colchester, home opener against the University of Nottingham next Sunday. That's the 26th of October, 3 p.m. first serve. As for Leeds Gorse, they'll have another week to wait before taking on the team we see next, the Newcastle Knights. That's at the Ruth Gorse Academy, 2:30 on the 2nd of November. And as we'll get the MVP up. But Dennis, your post-game thoughts on the difference between the two sides today?
Yeah, I mean, one of the key differences immediately, you can see that Rebels are just so much better in transition, defense, and offense, making those out-of-system plays. Once they dig that ball up, rewarding that dig. We saw so often huge digs from Hassan Farad from deep in Area 6 behind that block, getting the ball up, finding a way out of system to kill that ball, whether it's down the line a couple times from Kern, just really smart plays off the arms. And on, you know, the Leeds side, we've had situations where the key difference was serve reception. The moment Essex Rebels found a way to target their outside hitters, they took advantage.
Yeah, some of the serve reception errors for Leeds, not necessarily costing points, but extending everything out. But really strong performance for Essex. You and Fraser having a chat. We're going to just briefly bring up our game MVP as well. But Dennis, obviously next up, Newcastle Mallory. That's going to be an exciting one as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Newcastle Knights were the team that surprised probably all of us last season. And up against Mallory Eagles, the traditional most winning club. They've got a lot of returners alongside some new additions. You know, you've got the former players such as Nathan Fullerton, but also some new additions such as Ian Chow, who have been in and around the London scene. So sure, they're new additions, but they've been around. They know the culture. They know the teams. And that brings us to our interview with the MVP of today's game, Thomas Chessman.
Thanks, Dennis. Here with our game MVP, no doubt about it. Tom, opening weekend victory. Just your thoughts on the game to start with.
I mean, I think the game was really well for us. Obviously, you haven't seen a change in team. It's been difficult for us. Obviously, we've had a tough pre-season, obviously without Darryl here. But we said to ourselves, we've got something to show, you know? We got to the finals last season, National Cup final, and now we've got something to prove to see if we can maintain this title, and that's what we're trying to do on the court, and that's what we've provided.
And obviously in the build-up, Alex talked about the mindset a little bit changing, a little bit more fast-paced offense, but a little bit more aggressive and freedom. How's that translated for you? Because clearly you were having fun out there.
For me, I like playing with speed, you know? Obviously last season there was a lot of high ball setting, but this season with the new philosophy we have, speed is what we want to do, and as I feel like teams won't be able to catch us with that speed.
And just that set three, that's the first time you had the blip, the 7-2 deficit. What was the kind of the team talk to get yourselves back in, and obviously perfect execution from then on to close out the set in convincing fashion?
Like we say to ourselves, like we're all friends, we're all family on the court. We all got to sit together. We're all one. We're all one team. We're Essex Rebels. So if we're down 5-6 points, we know we can get back up. We just keep siding out, and then we go on a run, and then put the team out of rotation, and then we're good to go.
I'm sure Daryl's watching. Do you want to send him a message?
I'm looking forward to see you, Daryl. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'm happy for when you arrive.
There's the thoughts of our MVP, Tom Sherman. Essex Rebels 3-0 over Leeds Gorse. We'll be back. Mallory Newcastle up next.
That was it for our first game of the opening weekend. Up next, we'll be having the next game at 1:30. Newcastle Knights up against Mallory Eagles. And we'll hope to see you there. That's it from me, Dennis Schraub, and Michael Hansen Morris. And we'll see you in a bit.